Welcome to Milestone Moments, the show where we explore the journeys that lead to success. I'm Sheila Slick, your host and founder of 5 Milestones. In every episode, we will bring you insights from the minds of entrepreneurs, leaders, and experts who will share not just their expertise, but the milestone moments that have reshaped their journeys and led to significant achievements. So if you're looking for motivation, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and discover the milestones that mark the path to success. Welcome to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. I'm Sheila Slick, your host. And today, my special guest is Angela Mulrooney, also known as the Arsonist. She is founder of Unleashing Influence, Inc., where she helps accomplished professionals build lean, profitable personal brands that actually convert. She built 5 businesses from scratch after losing her career in dentistry, and she now teaches others how to pivot without burning out and selling out. Welcome to the show, Angela.
Thanks for having me, Sheila. I appreciate it.
How did you become known as the Arsonist? What's your backstory?
Well, the arson started with my career burning down without having any control over it. So I'm originally a dentist. That's where the doctor comes from. And when I had my practice at the point of being where I wanted it to be, I had an amazing team. I had the skills that I wanted. I was catering to cowards. So other dentists were referring me their phobic patients. I ended up losing my career overnight. And my whole world felt like it burned away. I had no idea who I was supposed to be if I wasn't a dentist, because I'd wanted to be a dentist since I was 2 and I was 32 at that point. So a 3-decade dream was gone. And since then, I've been working a lot in identity work with clients. That includes with personal branding, with building their businesses, with understanding what their niche of genius and creating entrepreneurial endeavors or employment endeavors with that. And what I always work on with clients is let's figure out, the 5% of what you're doing that works and work more on that instead of worrying about the 95% that is kind of working or just wasting our time. And so I always had my clients matches to help them burn things down that aren't at their highest level, at their maximum niche of genius, so that they can really create simple businesses, create simple brands, create simple entrepreneurial endeavors so that they can actually get to where they want to go faster without cluttering it with the things that they can be doing but maybe shouldn't be doing.
All right, but I think I got a gap here, Angela. You're a dentist since the age of 2. I have no idea what happened, but you said overnight, which no matter how much we plan our lives, sometimes things happen that are just beyond our control. So right there, you have me pausing and thinking. And then you founded 5 businesses in total. Is this your 5th one?
Yes.
So there's 3 in between. Tell me a little bit about those 3 before we move on to where you're at today, because I'm fascinated. I love reinvention, even though before the episode you talked about evolution. So give me that evolution story.
Sure. So after my injury happened, everyone who was advising me was telling me, you built this amazing brand. Everyone knows who you are. Just keep the clinic. And so I listened to them because I had never lost my career before. I was really young. I thought I was going to be a dentist forever. So I kept it, and it just kept eating away at me because the people that I brought into my practice, even though they had good hearts, they didn't love the work the way that I did, especially with the phobic patients. And so I kept just kind of giving more and more away of my brand and simplifying it down to what most people did. So when 2015 hit in Calgary, that was the oil crisis. I was like, the economy was tanking faster than when I first built the practice, which was during the global financial crisis. And I was like, if I don't get out now, I may not be able to get out. So I sold the practice, took a year away from it, and built my professional dance company. Now, I didn't run away and join circus, as a lot of people originally thought, but I turned pro as a dancer the day I became a dentist. So I had parallel careers while I was in dentistry. Just a lot of people didn't know about the dance career because very different industries. So I returned to dance, built my professional dance company, and became the 2nd largest adult-based Latin company in the first 6 months of opening it in our city. So that was the next endeavor. And then a year into that of licking my wounds and trying to figure out why this had happened to me, I decided to take my dental education and put it to use because I'd invested a lot, not only becoming a dentist, but getting my business skills, getting my other clinical skills as well. So I decided to build a consultancy and took to LinkedIn to get that noticed and went from 200 to 12,000 dental industry followers in a year. And dentists weren't supposed to be on LinkedIn. So when people saw that, they're like, can you do that for me? And so I started dabbling with people's social media to see if I was a unicorn or if it was replicable, and it was replicable. So that's where the fourth company came in, which was a full-blown social media agency that I launched 2 months to the day before the pandemic hit. And it was funny because at that time with the social media agency, I had 2.5 full-time team members. And they're looking around at their colleagues going, everyone's getting laid off. Like, if you need to lay us off, there's government funding, we'll be fine. And I was like, well, the dental company's going to get shut down because the industry's shut down. So they're not going to be hiring consultancy. The dance company, we can't breathe on each other. So that's going to be shut down. I'm like, we're going to take this social media agency to the moon. So by 10 months into the pandemic, we had gone from 2.5 to 14 full-time team members. So we exploded because a lot of my circle, they were also professional speakers like I was. And so they didn't know how to present to the camera in isolation from home and have the energy that they had when they had a room of 1,000 people. And so they needed training on camera. They needed to leverage their social media because they couldn't have coffee dates. Everything was shut down. So that amplified my company very quickly. And then I moved to Nicaragua in January 2021 because I didn't want to spend the pandemic in a snowbank in Canada. And I got there and realized I was working 100-hour work weeks, living in paradise. That was insane. So I decided to start lighting matches and burning off my company. So I sold them and took the best of everything into Unleashing Influence as it was at that point, and that has continued to evolve, and it's become actually an innovation house as well as a personal branding and identity company.
So where are you living at now?
I'm back in Calgary, and it's winter time, and I don't like it, but I'm here.
So I moved back here from Nicaragua after 23 years.
Oh my goodness, we have that in common.
Yes, it is a beautiful country. Beautiful.
It is.
So I love your story. I connect, and that's where my heart's at, is in that evolution. I love too how you've pivoted, and not just pivoted, but you've pivoted successfully, because sometimes we have certain ideas that we try, and in that short time, it may not be successful. You end up, say, all right, I got to move on to my next idea or my next hat, so to speak. Do you still have the dance company?
I actually was just handed back the name a couple of months ago. And since I'm back in Calgary where I developed the company, we're already developing a full-on stage show that will probably be presenting end of summer or fall next year.
So now let's talk a little bit about AI, because I know this is something that you're either passionate about or you speak a lot about, is how to keep your identity and make it irreplaceable in this age of AI.
Yes. So my journey with AI started about this time last year, actually. I took an AI mastery course and a programming course because I was looking at AI and I was going, I don't understand this well enough, and I know it's coming and it's freaking me out because I know it's going to eat my lunch, because I was doing a lot of copywriting at that time. And with my clients, I would do a 12-hour process where I'd interview them and I'd put together their strategy guide, which was about 60 pages long. So you can imagine why it took so long. And so when I was in this program, I was like, you know what? A lot of what I'm doing isn't magic. Like, people always said I had a magical brain. I'm like, it's just pattern recognition. So I decided to start building a model and training it how I pattern recognize to build these strategy guides. And what came out of it is my personal branding playbook, which people go in, it interviews them, they just talk to the machine and answer the questions. They end up in this stream of consciousness that allows them to have a lot of insights just from being asked all those questions. And then now they actually get a 90+ page strategy guide that is customized to them. It's customized to their genius. It's customized to who they want to be working with, those highest level skills, so that they can either take that and go get their next job, or they can take it and build an entrepreneurial journey from it. But what happens is when they get their niche of genius specifically, they stop looking for those external accolades. And with senior professionals, especially, those external accolades are disappearing as ageism is happening more and more. And AI is being blamed for that, but oftentimes it's ageism. And so then they start getting really centered in who they are. And that gives them, it brings their confidence back and allows them to go, hey, this is the impact I want to make in the world. Now I have choices as to how I'm actually going to execute on that.
Yeah, it gives them purpose too.
Yes, and for so many people who have relied on those external validations of those accomplishments, especially like really intellectual people, they're facing massive identity crisis like I did when I was 32 and lost my dental career. And they don't even know where to start because they were expecting to work until at least 60, 65. And like I have clients who are almost 80 who are still killing it out there. They're not working for other people. They are creating their own consultancies and own intellectual property and products like I did. And so they still feel like they have so much to contribute. And the more you study what happens to the brain and what happens to these senior professionals, they get more discerning as they get older. They have a better filter. They recognize things that a younger person wouldn't recognize because when we're younger, we're trying to grab everything. They sit back and go, oh, this is what's important. Forget about all this. And so they have a lot to contribute. The problem is if they don't package themselves well, whether that's for their entrepreneurial endeavor or to get another position in a corporation, then what happens is they're lost. And so a big part of what I'm doing with the playbook is I'm trying to avoid the identity crisis that's already started, but it's going to get worse as AI actually does start to take over positions. AI is being introduced to companies and it's being used a bit as an excuse to let people go, but it will get smart enough to be able to take over those roles. And then we're going to have a whole wave of highly intellectual people, great thinkers who are sitting there letting their brain rot because they don't know how to actually create the impact that they want. So it helps them to really understand, like, yes, I can still contribute, and you can contribute for years to come in the way that you want. You don't have to be in the same box that we were trained into, like climb the corporate ladder. If you got kicked off the ladder, you still have options.
So is this online? How could someone find what you built?
So if you go to app.unleashinginfluence.com/V2, you can go on there. It's $497 to set up your account. You do it once, and then you get your document. You actually get a call with me as well to go through it because there are some options in it. So I help you to customize it. And then you also get access to my other product, which is the content machine. So for people who are trying to build a brand, what often happens is they're like, I know I need to put myself out there, but I don't know what to say and maybe I don't want to. And so the content machine writes at a really high level. So it takes what it learned from you in the playbook. It understands your tone of voice. It understands your archetypes. It understands your intellectual property, who you're going after, the impact that you want to create, and actually writes on your behalf. So you put in one idea and you'll get a week's worth of stuff to post. So you'll get a high level article, you'll get polls, you'll get carousels, you get all these things. So it makes it really easy to put yourself out there. And you don't even have to create videos to be able to put yourself out there. You can actually just leverage the content machine to do that.
I like it. I can't wait to visit that page. And I'll make sure to leave it in the comments so that anyone else that wants to visit it can just click. And I love how you offer that personal conversation after they get those results because there's a human behind the AI.
Yes, absolutely.
What would be the first move that somebody should make in the event they feel like they're being replaced or overlooked?
Honestly, going and doing the playbook will, again, even just them being asked those questions and them talking to it, they start to have revelations about who they are. So they start getting this grounding in themselves, even just from the questions. And then once they have it in writing with the strategy guide that gets spit out, then they see it in writing. And that niche of genius section that we have really helps anchor people. And when even if they've done it and they've gone out and they're using it and suddenly they hit, maybe they get trolled online or they don't get the client that they wanted. When they come back to the niche of genius and read it again, it gets them recentered again because it really is the essence of the truth of the potential that they have and the impact that they want to create in the world. So it is that anchor point and resets, we could say their North Star, that they've been chasing so that if they got off path because something external happened, it brings them back to that path and back to themselves.
So this tool would also serve perhaps for someone that is looking to pivot or somebody that faces an unexpected change in their life and is forced to pivot because it's out of their control.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's a multi-purpose tool. I love it.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you want to share? Anything else that you're doing? Your next milestone?
The next milestone is really starting to get in more with corporations and help them to start reframing what is happening with ageism. Because when you look at the studies, and I talk to a lot of researchers, I talk to a lot of people experiencing it, talk to people who are working with people experiencing it. And the research shows multi-generational teams way outperform homogenous teams. So us letting go of our senior professionals and, again, letting them rot and letting that intellect die with them is not useful to any company. And it's sometimes a matter of reframing how they come in. And they're not necessarily going to be a cog in your wheel anymore, right? They're going to be someone who maybe is a little bit of a disruptor in the cog because they're going to bring in this wealth of experience and they understand how to use technology. They get labeled as not being tech savvy. Honestly, some of my most tech savvy clients are in their 70s. So that's a myth. So when you can actually bring those people in and bring that relevance that they have into your company is going to flourish exponentially compared to if you just have a homogenous one generation team.
So how is that passion born? I
That
want to make the
passion is
connection. Sorry. I want to connect the dots.
for sure. Well, the passion with the identity crisis comes from my own identity crisis, right? Like losing my dental career, having no idea how I fit in. That happened to me at 32. This is happening to people in their later years when they're not expecting it. And I wasn't expecting to lose my dental career either. It was awful. So that's where the identity crisis passion comes from. And also, I've been working with senior professionals. Like one of my clients is former CIO of NASA. So came to me after a 40-year tech career and wanted to pivot. And what I witnessed with senior professionals or anyone who has been in corporate and has had those external accolades, when now it's suddenly just them and they're representing themselves, it's a totally different ballgame than if they're representing a company. So they go through this massive identity adjustment to figure out, okay, no, I need to be good with me and not have to worry about these external accolades. And we eventually have to train them out of introducing themselves as I'm former whatever. And I used to do that myself. It took me a long time when people ask me what I do to not start with, well, I used to be a dentist, because that was the identity that I'd had for so long. That gave me instant credibility. People know what a dentist is, right? People know what a VP is. People know those titles. But when you're now representing yourself as an entrepreneur in something like identity architecture, it's a curiosity for people, but they don't instantly go, oh, right? Same as the recognition isn't the same as having the title that you would have earned from university or in the corporate world. So yeah, I've been working with people on that for a long time. And all the companies that I built, even though they seem very disparate, they were all part of my identity. And so I had to figure out what my genius was in the market and make myself unignorable with each of those. That's how I was able to build successful company after successful company, is because I built it around my genius and I made myself unavoidable.
Do you want to share how we can get in touch with you online?
Yes, LinkedIn is usually the best place. So if you look up Dr. Angela Mulrooney with 2 O's, you'll be able to find me on there, and my company is Unleashing Influence Inc.
And I'll make sure to leave it all in the comments. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Angela.
My pleasure. Thanks for the time, Sheila.
And thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. Until next time.